Chiefs Report, I am Harrison Graham. Breaking news here on a Thursday, the Kansas City Chiefs, they did it. They have signed Le'Veon Bell or agreed to a one-year deal for the former Jets running back. I thought this was a possibility. It was reported that the Chiefs were in the mix, and now it is happening. Lev Bell is heading to Kansas City. So let's kind of get some background here. The Jets released him on Tuesday night, as we talked about Wednesday here on the Chiefs Report. And to be fair, for being completely objective, he didn't look like the same player that he once did in Pittsburgh. 2018, he sat out over the contract dispute stuff with the Steelers, signs that big deal with the Jets before 2019, played 17 games with the Jets over the past year and a quarter, and the results have not been great, right? Like 3.3 yards per carry, only 3 touchdowns. The explosive plays were gone. Now, that Jets offensive line is a mess. Adam Gase sucks, and the passing attack there hasn't really opened up the run game, so those are certainly things that could lead to the lack of production. Receiving game, so-so, and not nearly as explosive as he was in Pittsburgh. But again, I'm not convinced the Jets were the team to put Le'Veon Bell in the proper situations to be successful. He signed with the Jets for one reason and one reason only, because they offered the most money. And guess what? He's got his money now, and now he's coming to the Kansas City Chiefs because he wants to contend and he wants to win, something the Jets aren't going to do anytime soon. Now, if Kansas City can get anything close to what he was in Pittsburgh, can he be 75% of this type of player? He's not going to get the volume of touches in Kansas City, not with Clyde Edwards-Helaire playing the way he is. 321 carries in 2017, that will be a career high for him. He will never touch that number again, I can promise you that. But I'm more talking about, can he show some explosiveness? Can he be in the 4.5 yards per carry potentially? That's more of what I am looking for, at least 4 yards per carry. Receiving, I think this is where he'll really stand out for this Kansas City offense. Clyde Edwards-Helaire will continue to do some of this, but Darrell Williams wasn't giving you much in the receiving game. Darwin Thompson, not much. They activated DeAndre Washington, but Lev Bell, this is where he can really shine for the Kansas City Chiefs. So grade the addition of Le'Veon Bell. A, B, C, D, or F. We'll get a couple of shout-outs here. Get your grades in. Grade the addition of Le'Veon Bell to the Chiefs. Based on what we know so far, it's an A. Worst case scenario, he's bad or he causes issues and you cut him. It's a one-year deal, I'm assuming, for not that much money. Low risk for potentially high reward. You're adding a solid player to an already explosive offense. I'm seeing a lot of A's in there. A+ from Chihuahua. Donnie says A. Goose says B. Christopher says A. Lowest grade I'm seeing is a B, and I think that's proper. A or B, depending on what how much you want to weigh in everything here. I think this is a great thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's look at the depth chart now. I still think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is RB1. He's earned that role. They took him in the first round for a reason, and he's been really good. Now, he hasn't been quite as good as he was in Week 1 against the Houston Texans, but he's still been solid. The O-line's kind of been shaky the past couple of weeks, so keep that in mind. But 344 yards on the ground, over 4 yards per carry. He's got that touchdown as well. I thought we'd see more of him in the receiving game. We've seen a little bit more in recent weeks, but it took a couple of games to get going. Again, I think that's where Lev Bell will really leave his mark. Andy Reid, he uses his running backs very, very well in the passing game. Always has, dating back to Philadelphia with Brian Westbrook and Donovan McNabb. He's brought it to Kansas City, and I think Lev Bell will shine there. The question is what kind of happens to some of these depth guys, right? Like, what happens to some of these depth running backs behind Edwards-Helaire and Lev Bell? Darrell Williams, I think he's safe. He's played a fairly decent role on this team, but he's been at about 3 yards per carry, doesn't offer much in the receiving game. I don't think they'll cut him necessarily. I'm more looking at Darwin Thompson because Thompson had a critical fumble a couple of games ago when against Baltimore on Monday night when the Chiefs were driving to put that game away, and he's kind of been in the doghouse since because they've shortly afterward activated DeAndre Washington to the active roster. You're not carrying 6 backs, including your fullback. It's just too many. So one of these guys is going to be, heading for the curb, probably just back to the practice squad. It might be Thompson. It might be Washington. I'm guessing it's going to be one of those players. I'll let you guys answer for me, or you guys can weigh in. Which running back should the Chiefs cut? I think it's DeAndre Washington or Darwin Thompson. I think Darrell Williams is safe. Let me know what you guys think. Which back should Kansas City cut to make room for Le'Veon Bell for the active 53-man roster? I'm going to say Darwin Thompson. It'll either be him or DeAndre Washington. So continue to get those votes in. And while you're doing that, if you haven't already, I've told you guys for a few weeks now, BetUS, it's the best sports betting partner out there. Go to chatsports.com/ChiefsBet. Use that promo code Chiefs125. That's going to get you a 125% deposit bonus. Bet on the Chiefs against the Bills. They're only like 3-point favorites right now. They're going to bounce back after that ugly loss to the Raiders. So go ahead and do that. Chatsports.com/ChiefsBet. Use that promo code Chiefs125 to get that 125% deposit bonus. Now, I should mention here, especially mentioning the upcoming game against the Bills, Lev Bell will not play in this game. Let's make that very clear. He's got to go through COVID screening, all of that stuff. So I think the earliest you're going to see Le'Veon Bell would be against the Broncos a couple Sundays from now. That would be the earliest you would see him. You know when he will play for sure, though? Week 8 against the Jets. I can promise you that. Andy Reid might even feature him in that game just to be petty against Adam Gase and the boys. Then you play the Panthers before the Week 10 bye. But this is a long-term play in terms of long-term for this season, right? Like, this isn't a guy like, oh, we need a running back right now. This is get another weapon in here. This is a team that's contending for a Super Bowl yet again. Why not add to this arsenal of weapons? Lev Bell can play a role on this team. He won't play against the Bills in Week 6. Like I said, he won't be ready, won't clear COVID screening and all that stuff. But he will be ready to rock, I assume, for Week 7, if not for sure for Week 8 against the New York Jets. But again, 1-year contract for Lev Bell, low risk, potentially very high reward, at least a decent reward in my opinion. As soon as he got cut, I was like, this would be fun if the Chiefs signed Le'Veon Bell. Imagine the play designs Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid are going to drop in the creative screen game that they run. It's going to be fun with Le'Veon Bell. Now, obviously, some of you guys are probably thinking, well, we drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So who's the better running back? Type CEH for Edwards-Helaire. Type LB for Le'Veon Bell. My Chat Sports office buddy, Tom Downey, is in shambles because he's got Edwards-Helaire in his fantasy league, so he's already freaking out. But I think Edwards-Helaire, I think he's the better running back at this point, right? Now, I do want to see Bell outside of the Jet scheme. I think he'll be better than he was with the Jets, but CEH deserves to be RB1. This is a great 1-2 punch on paper, guys. Hopefully, it ends up proving to be the case on the field as well. CEH for Edwards-Helaire, LB for Le'Veon Bell. Now, this is just one of many reasons to subscribe to the Chiefs Report. Why? Because we're 100% free, and when Twitter shuts down and the biggest news of the day in the NFL is unavailable for some of you on Twitter, we're going live on YouTube to break it down for you guys. We got the latest Chiefs breaking news, free agency rumors, trades, trade deadline coming up soon. Hit that subscribe button. We just crossed 8,000 subscribers yesterday. Let's keep the train rolling here. Let's get to 10K as soon as possible. Help me out. Hit that subscribe button. Let's continue to grow the Chiefs Report.